Hello guys, New Brew Biker here. As you can see, I've got a new bike. This is a CRF300 Rally, and I'll just show you around it. I'll do a video later on the bike in more detail, but this is my new bike. Look at that, and she sounds fantastic. She's currently got about 300 miles on her. She has 376, nearly 400. She'll have 400 or so on today by the time I've finished. So if you don't mind, while I'm talking to you, I'm gonna get the jacket on, suited and booted. Safety first. Hopefully the weather will stay good. It is a little bit suspect today, but we're just going to take her out, run her for a bit longer. But that's the front. You have to excuse the garden furniture, but that's the front look. And I haven't washed it yet, so she hasn't had a splash of water on her yet, other than a little bit of wet. I was out in the wet a few days ago and she did really well, I thought. Fairing is 95% there, in the sense that it's only when you're at like 60 and above does any of the rain come beyond the fairing, but it's 95% dry. Could just do with a little bit taller for me, just a few inches maybe. So we might investigate or look. We'll do a little walk round up the road, I think, out the way. And I'm such a fantastic bike, lads and lasses, I guess. Could be girls watching my video. The suspension is plush. For me, I might not even need to change it, because I'm not a sort of real hard rider, to be honest. Woohoo! I reckon she'd go if I wanted to get it to go on the back wheel. I'll find a little quiet spot, pull in. Such a beautiful bike. So much better than the old 125, which by the way has gone the journey. I have traded that in. It went to the dealer that supplied my new bike, which came all the way from Gloucester. Thunder Road in Gloucester is where the bike come from. Good service from these guys. I mean, I bought the bike, I didn't get anything off the bike, it was just the standard cost of the bike. Paid for delivery, but it's I'm going to get it booked in to go for its 600-mile first service. I'm going to take it back to Gloucester. I shall ride it there, and they'll give the bike a service. And I should have had heated grips on the bike, and hand protectors, and some new Rentho fat bars, but unfortunately the bars hadn't arrived, and it was a case of leave the bike there or take the bike the way it was and have the extra bits fitted at a later date, which I sort of discussed with them loosely that we might do when it comes for its service. But, we're just gonna pull in here and we can have a look around the bike. Turn her off for a minute. So here we are, guys. It's my brand spanking new Honda CRF300 Rally from the front. Sorry, front, from the side, left side. Come round the front. I've got a few dead insects on her, but actually I think it looks brilliant. I love the fairing, keeps the wind off you, it's nice and comfortable. The tank compared to the 300 makes you feel like you sat with your legs astride something really bigger, because a couple of guys I go out riding with, they got the new 300L. Mine's definitely got more presence between the legs and with the fairing. I'm glad I picked the Rally. I think I'll be using it more on the road than on the green lane, but it'll do both. So there's the right hand side of the bike. And there's absolutely nothing fitted to the bike, it's all stock. Nothing at all at the moment. I'll show you a little bit around it. Let's see if the key will come out, he says. Sure it does. And that's it. So we've got toolbox. I'll show you in there, but to be honest, there's not a lot of room in there. Enough room to put my toolkit and a few bits, so there's a bit of room in there for things. I'll work that out later, exactly what I'm going to put in it. We've got a helmet lock, which only seems to open a short distance, I guess. You put it through and that's it, and then ping it open like so. Okay, I've got a rack which I'm going to order to come on it yet. We've got a foldable gear changer and inserts in the pegs for vibration, plastic inserts, rubber. We've got standard switch gear. The Honda seem to have, compared to other bikes, have the indicators below the horn, but to be honest, I haven't put a footstep wrong with that yet. Thing I've noticed compared to my 125 is you haven't got the trigger flash. You've got the high and the low on there, but not a sort of a flasher like that, which my 125 had. All of this is perfect. It doesn't get in the way of anything on the Rally because your screen's mounted higher, so you haven't got your ABS cable and fluid for your brakes. Don't get in the way of any of that. Haven't tried anything on this yet. Perfect. It's absolutely perfect bike. I love the quality of the fuel cap. It's just perfection. It just looks so gorgeous for an off-road bike. I know all the plastics are susceptible if you fall off it, but the secret is not to fall off. That's the secret. And your headlights, I'll whiz round the headlights. We'll fire her up and I'll show you the headlights and the dash. So, right. So she's preparing the fuel system, the fuel injection. There she is. So you've got left, right indicators even, flashing at the back, flashing on the screen, which I like, flashing at the front, and the two front indicators, when they're not connected to, or you're not indicating, stay on orange as additional like driving lights. This is your low beam on this side. I'll just quickly swap them over onto the other side. So we're now indicating for a left, as you can see. Okay, turn them off, press in the middle. They're nice and clunky. I've never tried the hazards. Let's put the hazards on, both on there, look. Hazards on at the front. They'll be the same at the back. I won't show you the back. Hazards off. Full beam indicates on the screen. And you got the additional other light on now for full beam on the front. Back on to side beam or main beam without driving beam. So that's what she looks like from the front without indication and without the full beam on. So it's just a quick whiz round. Very comfortable. Seat is comfy, it's broader, tank is huge. The ABS, I haven't even tried to turn it off. I'm sure hopefully it will, like so. ABS on the rear wheel is off only. Put the rear wheel back on. Right. So I shall put the bike upright because we're on a bit of a slope here. Cock me leg, he says, if you can get on it. And she settles down on the suspension nicely. We've got a little bit of rain spitting on, but we won't let that worry us too much at the moment. So we'll take you for a little bit of a ride on her then, I think. Right, and it's got a lovely tight turning circle, chaps. I'm not even trying to get a tight turning circle there because I was just finding my feet on the bike really. It's not as tight as it can go. Oh. So as you can see, we'll start at this side of the road and we'll give it full. Look at that, does it in 1.5 widths of a car, I guess. But we'll have to some more slow speed practicing, I think. Not today anyway. So we'll just take you for a little whiz out on her. Definitely the bike to have, in my opinion. With my experience, my skill sets, this feels fantastic. So granted that after I've been biking for another year or so, I might think that this bike is is a bit on the small side cc wise, but at the moment 300 cc's takes me as fast as I want to go. It's a beautiful bike overall, and I'm really pleased with it. You got to remember that 300 cc's is a big bike for me. I come off a 125, and in the adventure market, adventure bike market, the next thing up from this, if you wanted what I call like a proper dual sport bike, would be a Tenere 700. I think you can get a CB500X, but it's not really in the same league. You're talking about an increase up to a 700cc bike and another 50 plus kilos in weight. Not sure exactly how much, but it's at least 50 kilos more. This is about 150, 152 I think, fueled up, and the 700 is about 200 kilos I think, thereabouts. So you know, it's at least 50 kilos more. The KTM 390, which I was looking at first before I actually decided I wanted the Honda, comes in about the same weight as this one, 150-ish. I think that's without the fuel though, so I think, unless I'm wrong, it looks like the KTM might be slightly heavier, albeit it's 100 cc's more than this, because this is 280 something cc's and the KTM is 380 something cc's. But no doubt the KTM's got the performance with a slightly bigger engine, but this is definitely better suited for adventure bike riding, with the screen, the suspension, the off-road ability has got to be better if that's what your main purpose of buying the bike is. And the seating position and uprightness of the CRF is just perfect for me. I just love the bike, just love it. So, you know, again, not an expert on everything. The brakes seem okay to me. I mean, they're still being worn in. The tyres seem okay to me. They do definitely feel a little bit more off-roady on the road than my tyres on the 125 did. She definitely sort of feels a little bit not as keen on the road, but that's all down to tyres and not the bike, and tyres can be changed. But right now I'm riding this bike, and it's 100% betterment on the 125. All round performance, bike ability, the quality on this bike just is outstanding. I've got to say, the quality is great. And I love the dashboard. You've got the fuel gauge, tachometer, speedometer, your trips, which are typical A, B, and total miles, your mileometer, or odometer as it's called, and you got a gear position indicator. There is various other things up the top which are not lit up, like your high beam and your neutral light, and there's a little white flash in the center here which isn't lit. It comes on as a rev limiter when you're running it in. I assume it'll go off after the service. But I will just tickle it up there in one of the gears so you can see it come on. but at the moment we sort of riding nothing more than 7,000 revs, 7.5 for running it in. That's roughly where your rev limiter flashes. And even while I'm running it in, I've been in 5th gear and I've just cruised it up and changed up. So there we've got 6.5, 7. It's just flashing now, if you can see. And change up 4th gear. But out on the road she would do sort of just roll the throttle on gently in 5th or 6th gear, and it would go up to 70, no trouble in 6th without that rev indicator coming on. I've only been up there once just to sort of out of curiosity, I guess, to try it. Most of the time I've been riding it, it's sort of 55, 60. When I'm on a long run I've done 65, but yeah, it goes alright. I mean, we're in 4th gear now, 37 mile an hour, just over 5,000 revs, 40 mile an hour now, 5,500 revs, and it's not even trying really. The book speed says it will do 85 in top gear. Obviously we haven't gone that fast because we're running it in, but it just seems like it gets up to 70 easy and the rev limiter didn't even come on. So maybe there's a bit more in there than that. Have to wait and see, I guess. So we're just going to take the A4 towards Reading, and there's the rev limiter, 4th, rev limiter 5th, 6th, 5,500 revs, and she's doing 55, 60. We'll give it a little run along the A4 and we'll just see if we can show you what we're talking about. Just make sure I'm still recording, and I am, because the battery, there wasn't a lot of battery left in the camera when I came out. So 6,000 revs, 45 look, and into 5th. Pop him into 6th, 4,000 revs on the dot, and she's doing 42 mile an hour. So, you know, if the gearing is steady, then we're looking at 5,050, 6,060, 7,070, 8,080 mile an hour, aren't we? That's if that stands true when she actually gets going. I'm just doing multiplications of, like, I guess 10 mile an hour for every 1,000 in top, 1,000 RPM that is, in top. So we're 36 at the minute, 40, 5th gear, into 6, number 6, someone pulling out, which is fine as long as they make the effort to get going on an A road, which they haven't really. So we might give it a little pep along up here if we can, but it's difficult to do that with the double white lines and hashed out sections on the road to keep it good as such. So we're in 5th. Maybe Mr. Octavia will get going. We'll go with him. So we've got 50. He's not going to go, is he? He might do. there we are, look. 6,500 revs, and we're 70, just over 6,500 revs in top, and the rev limiter is not on now. I know it came on when I went through the gears, but there's loads left, loads, and we'll let it just come back down. So I'm confident that, just drop my head out of the wind noise of it, you see we need just a little bit on top of here, another inch or 2 or 3. I'm going to have a look for a cover for that. But, so, down into 30 mile an hour zone, and there's a speed camera down here, so we'll get it down to the right speed. There you go. So 40 mile an hour, look, 30 mile an hour, 4th gear, 4,000 revs in gear 4. So, and we've done not quite 400 miles yet, so that's the first time I've blipped that up like that in anger. So I shall just get myself back to me steady approach. We've got another sort of 225 miles, so I'll be thinking about booking it in for a service in the next couple of weeks. But you can see it goes at no trouble whatsoever, and the tank on the fuel meter, I fill it right up so that the fuel is level with the there's like a little tiny bowl with 3 holes in it which the cap mechanism goes into in the tank, and I fill it up till the fuel touches that. And it doesn't take long, you know, after sort of 20-30 miles you lose a bar straight away. But if I just nip round to my trip A, that's the one, that's the recent one, trip B, and we've done 111 miles on 1.1 gallons, so I reckon it's doing 100 miles per gallon, as you can see, because when it went over from 0.9 of a gallon to 0.1 of a gallon, I'd done just over 100 miles on my previous ride out. She should hold I'm not sure of the litres actually, but there's obviously 2 gallons is 9 litres, and I've always filled it up before I've got that far, to be honest. But I think this is a 12.5 litre tank, or 12.7. So 9, 10, 11, 12. So it's like 2.5 gallon, just over 2.5 gallons, isn't it? So in theory, if that's the case, we should be getting 250 miles out of a tank before it stops. I've done 180, 190, and then I filled it up, and it's always felt like it's had a, you know, 2-3 litres, half a gallon I should say, left. So it's probably okay. But from filling it up to the bottom of the actual filler cap receptacle in the side of the tank itself, if you'd open the lid and look in, you'll see I got about 180, 190 before the indicator showed flashing on and off red. So I'm getting fed up with this guy in front, keep braking all the time. Maybe he thinks I'm too close to him, but we'll get past him in a minute, I think. and so it did 180, so definitely 200 miles out of the tank before it would stop. So really pleased with the bike. Really comfy on it. Nice. You're in the envelope. I can feel if I whip my hand round here, look, you're outside of the envelope of neutral air from the shield and the windscreen and the fairing. And I think if we went up for like a 2.5–3 inch additional clear perspex section on the windshield, I think that would make it, that would do make the difference for 70-mile-an-hour cruising, long journeys in comfort. The cracking bike. Can't say enough about it, to be honest. Absolutely love it. So if you're a new rider and you've passed your test, like me, and you haven't been riding bikes of any other caliber, then to come from a 125 onto this 300 Rally, you'd be made up, I'm sure. Even if you kept it for another year or so and then decided you wanted a 500 or 750, I don't think you can go wrong getting one of these to step up from a 125 to your first bike. Excuse me. Spot on it is. I mean, with a nice big bike, I'm sure you could drop a couple of gears and zoom past all this lot. But of course, you know, it's what it is. It's a dual sport or an adventure bike with enough oomph to get you around and about without all the weight of a heavier bike. And it probably argued without the comfort, but I think this is pretty comfortable, really. Yeah, pretty comfy. I'm sure one's bottom would ache after a few miles anyway, regardless of what sort of bike you've got, unless it's a Grand Tourer. Here we go, look. So we just come off here and we're in third gear. That's got enough oomph for me. Just tickling the rev limiter as we go. Just pull over, and that's not bad considering you know, we're just doing steady 6,000 revs, 60 mile an hour thereabouts, just under 5,800 at 60. And very comfortable on the bike at 60. Hardly any wind noise. There's a little bit around the helmet, but I've got an adventure helmet on with a peak. And like I said, if we went up on the screen a couple of inches, then you would benefit from that. So for like cruising along at 50, 60 and even 70, it's okay with a standard fairing. I think if you wanted to go much faster, you'd want a bigger bike anyway. And neutral's easy, straight into neutral. And she just sounds nice. When I first got it, and I was comparing it to my 125, I keep thinking I had someone following me with a bigger bike, because I could hear the little rumble behind me, and it's the engine off this Honda, which is nice, not obtrusively, obsessively loud or obnoxious, just right. So a little bit of noise, but not an issue. Little 125 taking the lead, look. We're not worried. We're not in a hurry. I don't skip the queue much or filter through, not much really, only if there's a long queue. Not worth the bother here. There's one car in front. Mile an hour along here anyway. Making excuses for myself, I suppose. We'll have a little ride up into Tilehurst in Reading, I think. I used to live up there, so I know the area a little bit. That's Newbury bike. I'm just going to sign off here while the battery's going. If I put any additional footage in, that'll be a bonus. But we'll just see Newbury bike. Saying if you like my video, it's a long one, or not a very long one, but one I haven't posted for a long time on the new bike. Then stick around. I'll put some more up all in good time on the Honda CRF300 Rally. So please like and subscribe to my channel and visit and keep an eye on it, and hopefully I won't disappoint you. Be safe. Thank you very much. Cheerio.